Welcome to District Command Central, your go-to source for the latest news and updates on the Washington Commanders. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss a play. Man, oh man, what a week to be a Washington Commanders fan. Just when it seemed like this team was finally turning a corner, everything has come crashing down in the most painful, chaotic way possible. You could feel the air leave the stadium on Sunday night, not just because of the score, but because of the moment everyone in D.C. feared. Jayden Daniels, the young face of the franchise, lying on the turf, clutching his elbow after taking yet another hit in garbage time. The Commanders were getting blown out 38-14 by the Seattle Seahawks, the game long gone, the fans long silent, and yet their quarterback, the most precious asset in the building, was still in the game. And now, he might not be back for the rest of the season. Or worse, he might not even be the same when he does return. Dan Quinn, the head coach who had been praised for bringing accountability and intensity back to Washington, stepped to the podium on Monday looking like a man who'd just aged 5 years overnight. You could see the weight in his eyes, the regret in his posture. He didn't dodge the blame. He didn't throw an assistant under the bus. He said it straight. He took full accountability for leaving Daniels in there. He said he got lost in the moment. But let's be real. In the NFL, getting lost in the moment can cost you your season, your locker room, and sometimes even your job. And if you believe what some insiders are saying right now, this moment might be the one that defines, and potentially shortens, Dan Quinn's tenure in Washington. Because the knives are out. The criticism has been ruthless, and the takes are hotter than ever. Mike Florio from Pro Football Talk dropped the kind of bomb that ripples through every sports talk show in America. He compared this whole situation, this one disastrous decision, to the most infamous collapse in recent NFL memory, Quinn's own 28-3 Super Bowl meltdown with the Atlanta Falcons. Florio said, and I quote, "This is basically Quinn's Washington version of 28-3. That's a dagger." He went on to say that depending on how things go in 2026, this injury to Daniels could end up shortening Quinn's stay with the Commanders entirely. It's a scorching take, but one that's got people buzzing for all the wrong reasons. And let's unpack that, because Florio's not pulling this comparison out of thin air. When the Falcons blew that 28-3 lead to the Patriots in Super Bowl 51, it became a permanent stain on Dan Quinn's resume. No matter what he did afterward, no matter how many defensive schemes he perfected, or how many locker rooms he inspired, people always came back to that one number, 28-3. It followed him like a shadow. Now, with Washington, it's 38-7. That's the score on the board when Daniels dislocated his elbow. Down 31 points. 7 minutes left. And your franchise quarterback is still out there taking hits? That's coaching malpractice, plain and simple. But here's the thing, Quinn knows it. You could see it in the press conference. He didn't fight the question. He didn't give a PR-polished answer. He just looked like a man who understood the gravity of what had happened. Still, accountability doesn't heal a broken locker room or a dislocated elbow. The Commanders are now in full-blown survival mode. Veteran cornerback Marshawn Lattimore is out for the year. Luke McCaffrey, one of their most reliable receivers, gone. And now, Jayden Daniels. The season that started with Super Bowl whispers has devolved into a nightmare of injuries, bad luck, and bad decisions. And yet, even through all this, there's this stubborn sense in Washington that the long-term vision isn't dead, that this is just a brutal chapter in a larger rebuild. But the problem is, fans are tired of chapters. They want results. They saw last season's NFC Championship run as the beginning of something real, not an illusion. Now, after a 3-6 start, it all feels like a mirage. Like the Commanders woke up from a dream to find themselves right back in the middle of an identity crisis. Let's not forget, this is a team that doubled down on experience in the offseason. They brought in aging veterans, thinking continuity would lead to stability. Instead, it's made them slower, less adaptable, and far more fragile. And now, with Daniels likely sidelined for weeks, maybe months, the entire offense has to run through Marcus Mariota, a quarterback whose career has been defined by inconsistency. Mariota isn't just a backup, he's a known commodity. You know what you're getting. A few flashes, a few mistakes, and not much more. That's not going to cut it in a division where every loss feels like a dagger. So here's where things get interesting. The Commanders need a savior, or at least someone who can stop the bleeding. And apparently, that someone might be 400 miles south in Atlanta. Yeah, we're talking about Kirk Cousins. The irony writes itself, doesn't it? Cousins, the former Washington quarterback, now sitting on the bench behind Michael Penix Jr. in Atlanta, suddenly finds himself back in the Commanders' orbit. It's almost poetic. Cousins was once the face of this franchise, the "you like that" guy, the man Washington couldn't commit to. Now, years later, with his Falcons' career fading and his body still capable of giving a few solid games, he could be the temporary fix for the very team that let him go. Reports out of Clutch Points suggest that Washington has quietly explored what it would take to get Cousins back, and the proposal on the table is fascinating. A 2026 fourth-round pick, a 2026 fifth-round pick, and $2 million in cash considerations going to Atlanta in exchange for Cousins and a fifth-round pick swap. It's the kind of low-risk, high-reward move that could stabilize Washington's offense overnight. Cousins isn't going to blow anyone away with mobility or arm strength, but he's a pro's pro. He reads defenses, manages the pocket, and knows how to keep a team competitive. He's the definition of steady. And let's face it, steady might be exactly what Washington needs right now. This locker room is shell-shocked. They've lost their leader on offense, their spark on defense, and their confidence as a unit. Bringing in a veteran like Cousins could calm the storm, give them a fighting chance in the NFC wildcard race, and buy time for Jayden Daniels to heal properly without being rushed back onto the field. And the beauty of it all? It wouldn't blow up their salary cap. The Falcons are already on the hook for most of Cousins' 2025 money. Washington would essentially be getting a starting-caliber quarterback for pennies on the dollar. On the flip side, Atlanta has every reason to take the deal. They've fully handed the keys to Michael Penix Jr. Cousins is just collecting dust and salary on their bench. By trading him, they'd free up nearly $27.5 million in cap space and gain 2 valuable draft picks for their rebuild. They could use those picks to beef up their offensive line, strengthen their secondary, or finally fix their inconsistent linebacker core. Everybody wins, at least on paper. But the Commanders' situation isn't just about one trade. It's about perception. Right now, Dan Quinn's image has taken a massive hit. For weeks, he was the guy fans could believe in. Tough, disciplined, no nonsense. Now, he's being compared to the ghost of 28-3. Again, it's brutal. And fair or not, that perception sticks. Every post-game presser, every sideline shot, every awkward moment of hesitation, it all gets amplified under the hot lights of DC sports media. Still, let's be fair. Quinn isn't on the verge of being fired tomorrow. The ownership group still believes in his long-term vision. They know this roster has been decimated by injuries, and that there's only so much a coach can do when half his starters are on crutches. But make no mistake, the pressure is now sky-high. The margin for error has evaporated. If Washington stumbles through another losing season, and if Daniels doesn't come back strong, Florio's prediction might not sound so crazy anymore. And think about what this does to Jayden Daniels himself. The kid came into this season with all the hype in the world, the franchise's next superstar. He had the arm, the legs, the charisma. He was becoming the heartbeat of the team. And then, boom, one meaningless drive late in a blowout, and suddenly everything changes. This kind of injury can shake a young quarterback mentally. You start to second-guess every scramble, every hit, every extended play. You start wondering if your coach has your back. You start wondering if your career just took a detour you didn't deserve. And that's the real tragedy of this whole situation. Because Jayden Daniels wasn't just another quarterback. He was supposed to be the guy, the one who could finally bring stability to a franchise that's been searching for an identity for decades. And now, because of one bad coaching decision, his season, maybe even his development, is on pause. You can't rewind time. You can't take that hit back. You can only deal with the fallout. So where does Washington go from here? Do they pull the trigger on the Cousins deal and try to salvage the season? Do they ride it out with Mariota and pray the defense steps up? Or do they accept that this is a lost year and focus on getting healthy for 2026? Whatever they decide, one thing's for sure. This season will be remembered for all the wrong reasons. Not the wins, not the plays, but the injuries, the questions, and the doubts. Dan Quinn came to Washington to rewrite his narrative, to prove he was more than the guy who blew a Super Bowl lead. But football is a cruel storyteller, and sometimes history doesn't give you the redemption arc you want. Sometimes, it just gives you another painful lesson. The only question now is whether Quinn and the Commanders can survive it. If you're enjoying the coverage, make sure to smash that like button and drop a comment with your thoughts on the Commanders' latest moves. We want to hear from you. Hold on to your seats, football fans, because the rumor mill is spinning faster than ever tonight, and what we're hearing could shake the NFC to its very core. According to sources who have been whispering in the hallways of the league and feeding tidbits to ESPN insiders, the Washington Commanders are making what could be the most jaw-dropping move of the offseason so far. Yes, you heard it right. Chris Olave, the explosive wide receiver out of the New Orleans Saints, could be headed to the nation's capital. And while nothing has been officially announced yet, the buzz is deafening. The Commanders, reportedly, have already advanced talks to the point where an agreement is crystal clear, insiders claim. And if this goes through, it's going to send shockwaves not only through Washington but also through Dallas, because the Cowboys are now on maximum alert. Imagine the implications for the NFC East if Olave lands in Washington. The Commanders have been trying to find that one missing piece, the kind of player who can turn a good offense into a lethal, game-breaking unit. And if these rumors hold water, Chris Olave is exactly that. Known for his speed, route-running precision, and uncanny ability to make defenders look foolish, Olave is the kind of weapon that could redefine a team's passing game overnight. And let's not forget, Washington's offensive scheme under its current coaching staff is built for explosiveness, agility, and creating mismatches, which means Olave wouldn't just be a name on the roster. He could become the centerpiece, the headline. The reason defenses start double-covering Terry McLaurin even more aggressively. That's if he even lasts that long without being triple-teamed. The potential for highlight reel catches, long touchdowns, and clutch moments in primetime games is almost limitless. The kind of excitement that sells out stadiums, fills sports bars, and has analysts talking for weeks on end could be arriving in Washington. Now, let's talk about the Cowboys because, naturally, this development has their brass and fan base more than a little tense. Dallas has been quietly building one of the most versatile, high-octane offenses in the league, and the idea of a player like Olave landing in their division rivals lineup is the kind of news that triggers immediate strategic recalibrations. Imagine facing a wide receiver of Olave's caliber twice a year. It's the kind of matchup that forces defenses to rethink their personnel packages, double-shift coverages, and even offensive game plans. The Cowboys, who have been riding high with Dak Prescott and a talented receiving core, now have to consider the possibility that their once predictable defensive assignments will turn into a full-blown nightmare. And insiders are saying that the front office in Dallas isn't just worried. They're moving aggressively behind the scenes, exploring options, potential trades, and even drafting strategies to counter what could soon be a new offensive powerhouse in the NFC East. Back in Washington, though, the mood is electric. Sources hint at a meeting last week where top brass, coaching staff, and even some key players were briefed about the potential acquisition, and the excitement was palpable. Conversations reportedly went beyond just football skills and stats. They focused on leadership, locker room chemistry, and how Olave's presence could uplift the entire squad. Some insiders even suggested that this isn't just a roster upgrade, it's a statement. The Commanders, still hungry for playoff relevance and looking to shed some of the frustration of recent seasons, seem ready to bet big, and Olave could be the linchpin in that strategy. And while the media frenzy hasn't yet reached a fever pitch, the whispers are spreading, making every practice, every minicamp, and every offseason workout a potential stage for speculation. Every glance at a tweet, every post on social media, and every comment from NFL insiders becomes a potential breadcrumb in the trail that could lead to one of the biggest moves of the year. And let's not ignore the financial angle here, because whenever you hear the word agreement, you know money is involved, and plenty of it. Sources are hinting that the structure of this potential deal could be as innovative as it is aggressive, blending guaranteed money, performance incentives, and creative contract clauses that could give both sides flexibility while signaling to the league that Washington is serious about contending. Of course, the numbers haven't been leaked, but insiders suggest that if finalized, this could be a franchise-altering investment, a calculated risk that could pay off in terms of wins, fan engagement, and long-term team identity. And for Chris Olave, this move would represent a major opportunity. a chance to step into a leading role, showcase his elite talents on one of the league's biggest stages, and cement himself as one of the defining receivers of his generation. It's the kind of scenario that football fans dream about, and rumor has it, the front office in Washington believes they've found their golden ticket. What makes this story even more tantalizing is how quickly things appear to be moving. Rumors that might have taken weeks to coalesce are now bubbling to the surface at breakneck speed. Some insiders suggest that meetings with agents, legal teams, and league officials have been unusually efficient, hinting that all parties involved are motivated to wrap things up before the off-season madness escalates. This kind of urgency often signals that a deal is closer than it appears, and in NFL terms, closer than it appears could mean any day, maybe even hours. Fans on social media are already speculating about jersey sales, touchdown celebrations, and highlight compilations, while analysts are debating the strategic ramifications for both the NFC East and the league as a whole. And while some caution is always warranted, after all, rumors are just rumors until ink hits paper. There's a palpable sense that the Commanders are on the verge of making a move that could redefine their trajectory. Meanwhile, the Cowboys are reportedly monitoring every development with laser focus. Rumor has it that internal meetings in Dallas have shifted toward contingency plans, evaluating how their defense will handle a potential Olave threat, and even considering roster tweaks to counter the addition. It's not just about one game or one season. This is about long-term strategy, maintaining dominance in the division, and sending a message to rivals that Dallas is aware, vigilant, and prepared for anything. And if you combine that with the potential energy shift in Washington, we could be looking at the birth of one of the most intense rivalries in recent NFL memory, a scenario that's as thrilling for fans as it is nerve-wracking for coaches and executives. Division matchups next season could take on a completely new level of intensity, and every fan in the NFC East should be paying attention because this is exactly the kind of move that changes everything. In the end, whether this deal officially goes through or not, one thing is clear. The rumor itself has already created a storm. The Commanders are being talked about in every corner of the football world, from sports podcasts to social media threads, while the Cowboys are bracing for impact. Chris Olave's name is now on every rumor radar, and the idea of him bringing his speed, skill, and playmaking ability to Washington has fans and analysts alike imagining highlight reels, game-winning touchdowns, and a potential seismic shift in the NFC East balance of power. As of this moment, we are standing on the edge of what could be a defining moment in NFL offseason history. A story still unfolding, still whispering, still electrifying. And if the insiders are right, it's just a matter of time before the bomb officially drops, and we all witness one of the boldest moves in recent memory. Keep your eyes peeled, because the Commanders might just be about to change the game. And for the Cowboys? Well, you can bet they are watching, calculating, and preparing for the fallout. Because this is the kind of news that doesn't just make headlines. It rewrites the entire NFC East narrative. Thanks for tuning into District Command Central. Make sure to subscribe and follow us for all the Commanders news you need. Until next time, keep the faith and hail to the Commanders.